Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brass Monkey X. So, today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video for you. So I started this trilogy here by Jack Donovan. Okay, he's got these 3 books. I just finished reading The Way of Men. Then we have Becoming a Barbarian and A More Complete Beast. If you go back a couple videos ago, I did an unboxing of these. I ordered them on Amazon. They're not exactly what I expected them to be. Now, if you go back to that video that I did, that previous video, you'll see that I gave you a little bit of insight as to who Jack Donovan is. And what I was expecting with these was the kind of book that would piss my wife off. I was expecting it to be a very macho, very putting women down, kind of anti-feminist type thing. And it's not. By no means is it that kind of a book. It's simply... It attempts to answer the questions of what makes a man a man. It's actually surprisingly it's a very good book. I was pleasantly shocked. I recommend this book for anyone who's a prepper, for one, because it basically touches on prepping. It's about There's sections in here about groups of men getting together for the sake of survival. If you're a prepper, I recommend these books, okay? Even if you're a female, okay? Don't be put off by the fact that these books are about masculinity. If you're a woman and if you happen to be in a workplace where you're surrounded by men all day, even if you're in charge of men, read this book. This will explain to you why men think the way they do, why they act the way that they do, and it'll give you a better understanding of how to even communicate with men if you're in a position of power over them. And that's okay. It's not an issue. These books do not bash women. They don't bash the fairer sex. It's just an explanation as to why men are the way they are and why they think the way they think on a biological and psychological level. It's actually it's quite fascinating if you ask me. So I marked off a couple pages here, and I'd like to read you a few passages from this book if you don't mind. You're gonna have to bear with me here. This video might be a little long-winded, but this is something I really want to do. If you guys are interested in this, like I said, I'm gonna read you a few passages here, and it might get your gears grinding here, it might get you thinking a little bit, and you might want to pick these books up. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and I'll flip through a couple pages here. But yeah, right here on the first page of the book, and right in the beginning, let me just read you a paragraph here. It says, "For decades, people have been talking about a crisis of masculinity. Our leaders have created a world in spite of men, a world that refuses to accept who men are and doesn't care what they want. Our world asks men to change for the better, but offers men less of value to them than their fathers and grandfathers had. The voices who speak for the future say that men must abandon their old way and find a new way. But what is that way and where does it lead?" And this book attempts to answer questions like that. It's a very thought-provoking book. Let me see here. I got a couple more pages I'd like to read to you here, a couple more paragraphs. So check this out. This book, it really makes you think. It puts things into perspective that you would have never thought about before. Like, is there a difference between being a good man and being good at being a man? Like, I've never thought about it in terms like that before. So let me go ahead and read you another paragraph here. "I was raised by a decent family in rural Pennsylvania. I went to Sunday school. I was taught to be polite and respectful to others. I overtip even when I get crappy service in restaurants. I hold doors for little old ladies, and I'm honest to a fault. When I treat people poorly, I feel bad about it, unless they really had it coming. Like many men, I rebelled against my parents' values when I was younger. However, perhaps like Brett McKay and Tom Matlack, When I later began thinking seriously about masculinity and what it meant, the following phrase kept popping into my head. I can't think of anything better to be than a good man. Now, any man who was raised properly can relate to that. Everybody wants to be a good man. But is there a difference between being a good man and being good at being a man? You know what I mean? So you can be both. You can be a good man and be good at being a man. But that there is a difference between the two. So let's see here. I got another page marked off here. You can be both. It's let's see. Men want to be good men because good men are well regarded. But being a good man isn't the same as being good at being a man. There is a difference between being a good man and being good at being a man. And it sounds a little bit confusing, but there's a whole chapter in here that breaks it all down for you. So he goes on to say that, let's see, in regards to being good at being a man, he says, being good at being a man is about being willing and able to fulfill the natural role of men in a survival scenario. Being good at being a man is about showing other men that you are the kind of guy they'd want on their team if the shit hits the fan. Being good at being a man isn't a quest for moral perfection, it's about fighting to survive. Good men admire or respect bad men when they demonstrate strength, courage, mastery, or a commitment to the men of their own renegade tribes. A concern with being good at being a man is what good guys and bad guys have in common. Okay? So you can be good at being a man and still be a terrible person. It doesn't, there is no differentiating between good or bad when it comes to being good at being a man. I know it sounds a little confusing, but guys, if you pick up this book and read it, you'll completely understand what I'm talking about here. So as far as being a good man, there's a whole bunch of pages about being a good man, but a lot of it breaks down to this right here. To protect and serve their own interests, the wealthy and privileged have used feminists and pacifists to promote a masculinity that has nothing to do with being good at being a man, and everything to do with being what they consider a good man. Their version of a good man is isolated from his peers, emotional, effectively impotent, easy to manage, and tactically inept. A man who is more concerned with being a good man than being good at being a man makes a very well-behaved slave. Okay? So this whole chapter basically explains how being a good man in like a virtuous sense, inside of like a particular culture, it doesn't necessarily make you good at being a man. It just kind of makes you subservient in a way. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to be a good man. And being good at being a man, it doesn't necessarily make you a good man. You know, it's a trait shared by both good and bad guys alike. And it's really fascinating stuff when you get down into the psychology of it. There's also some pages here on the effects of modernity on the modern man, okay? And how civilization affects being a man. So I just got a couple more things I want to read to you here. One of the basic ideas of evolutionary psychology is that because human evolution occurred over a very long period of time, and then an explosion of technology thrust us into modern world in a comparatively short period of time, humans are more adapted physically and psychologically to the world as it was than they are to the world as it is today. Okay? Our primal bodies and minds still make their calculations based on that old data. Maybe this is a bug in the system, or maybe it's a feature, just in case shit goes down. Okay? There's a whole chapter here on civilization and what it's doing to modern men. So let me see, flip through the pages here. I got a couple more to read for you. We got here, the emotional needs of men are not being met by a world that repudiates the way of men. But so long as their material needs are being met, men may choose not to make war against the world. As long as they have enough stuff, enough food, enough distractions, men may be content to dull their senses, tune out, and allow themselves to become slaves to the interests of women, bureaucrats, and wealthy men. So that was a little excerpt there about, modernity and how it affects men in a modern era. So I got one more passage here about modernity, guys. It says, the goal of civilization seems to be to eliminate work and risk, but the world has changed more than we have. Our bodies crave work and sex. Our minds crave risk and conflict. And then I have one more thing to read for you here, guys. This is a pretty excellent quote. I really like this paragraph here. It puts things into perspective if you really think about it. And there's a lot of stuff I'm not getting to that's in this book that I really think you guys should check out. Let me see here. Right? Let me read this last paragraph for you. Likewise, skills must be mastered and practiced to be truly useful. Talent will only get you so far. If you are never truly challenged in a meaningful way and are only required to perform idiot-proofed corporate processes to get your meat and shelter, can you ever truly be engaged enough to call yourself alive, let alone a man? I mean, this is fascinating stuff, guys. I know to some of you this is pretty boring. A lot of you guys probably don't even read. Listen, if you're into prepping, you need to put a library together. Even if you're not into prepping, reading is great. You really should read. And stuff like this, books like these, they get you thinking. They really engage your mind. They make you use your brain. And what's wrong with doing that? You know what I mean? So, like I was saying, guys, check these books out. I haven't read the last two yet. I've only read this one so far, The Way of Man. I'm probably not going to do a review on these two because it's probably just more of the same. Okay, if it's anything a little bit different, I'll probably give you guys a review. I'll let you know how it was. But please, guys, check it out. Jack Donovan. You can get the books on Amazon. They were really cheap. I think I paid, I don't remember what I paid. But yeah, guys, I recommend it. It's a very good read. Check it out. But thanks for tuning in, guys. This was my first real book review. I don't know if you guys are into this format or not. But again, thanks for checking it out. I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time, guys.